Welcome to the Gritty Angler Podcast. Our guest in this episode is Russ Miller from Sage. We're at the fly fishing show in Denver where we hijacked Russ from his booth, so this is a quick but very informative visit. Russ talks different rod tubes, their different graphite particle count, and how that relates to size and strength. He helps us understand why the Sage X debuted so well at last year's ICAST show. We hope you enjoy our podcast. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, and our YouTube channel. I'm Chad Nelson along with Brian Call. Here is today's podcast. All right, guys, we are coming live from the Denver Fly Fishing Show, and our guest today is Russ Miller from Sage. And my co-host is Brian Call from the Gritty Bowman Podcast. So, Russ, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Very excited to be here.
So I hear Sage is like a nice fishing rod.
We do a little bit better than making just poles. We make fly rods. We've been at it for 40 years just about, and we've learned a lot over those years, and we've tried to really refine our offering and make specialty product for anglers at any level of the game. That's really what we do. We live by the mantra perfecting performance, and that's what we really try to strive for in everything that we do and all the products we offer. In addition to our customer service, right?
Yeah.
We're not just selling a fly rod and walking away. We really want to grow an angler and have them invest in a rod and use it for a lifetime.
Russ, what do you think has led Sage to, you mentioned largest fly rod manufacturer in the world. What's gotten you guys there?
It's our specialty retailers have been really important to our success. When we launched the company back in 1980, we went on a big tour opening up dealers. I think what really made Sage special in the time was, I'm going to go way back to give you guys a little reference, because it's a great story. We're in the old Fenwick factory on Bainbridge Island, Washington, and so Fenwick Rods had Don Green working for it, and Fenwick decided to go a little different direction, and Don said, "Well, this is great. I know we make rods," and Don had a real passion for fly, and so he wanted to come over and create specialty fly rods. And so out of that, graphite was just kind of becoming a material, and Don latched onto that material, being he was someone very wanted control over every piece of the process, and that was casting, that was manufacturing, the whole 9 yards. And so Don really latched onto graphite. And so when Sage launched in 80, it was launched with only graphite fly rods. And there weren't a ton of them back then. And so it was kind of what made a differentiator. And so with that, we gained a lot of momentum out in the space. And in 82, there was a rod that was called the RP, Reserve Power. And that's really what put Sage on the map. And so after that, it kind of built momentum. And it was all about, specialty product. At the end of the day, and I think we're generalists most of the time. Having specialty product really was that differentiator for us.
So you've got four shafts here with you, I guess.
I do.
Let's talk about these, and you want to give us kind of a demo of how these are constructed?
Yeah. I think this is super cool stuff. It is, once you put a core guides and paint on a fly rod, I mean, they all generally look the same. And I don't care what manufacturer you're talking about, the basic ingredients are all the same. And so what we really strive ourselves on is being different in the space and building our own technologies. So we've got this really great R&D department on Bainbridge Island. And Steve Greist, who's been with the company since it was essentially Fenwick, moved over with Don, has been a materials engineer the whole time. So this is really a product of Steve Greist in our R&D department. And we're continually trying to make rods better, refine them, really dial them in so that anglers can really experience more of the rod and feel exactly what's happening, whether it's in the casting process or actually in the fish fighting process, right? You can anticipate fish's movements better.
Yep.
And graphite's our way to do that. So in my hand here, I've got four different tubes, and this is representative of 17 years of fly rod evolution for us.
Yeah.
In these different technologies. And I'm just going to take each one of them here and just give it a flex. Graphite 3E we released back in 2000. It was a great material then.
Yep.
We came out with Generation 5 after that, And if you're able to see here, it's a bit stiffer material, right? Kinetic back in 2012, right, was a big step forward with us. Really fiber alignment, right? We made really accurate fly rods as a result of this material. And Kinetic HD is what we just released this year. We're really excited about this. This is like truly the culmination. Very stiff material, meaning we can use less of the material. We can have thinner diameter shafts in our rods, right? They move through the air really nicely, and they're really, really crisp, right? And this has just shy of 1 million graphite fibers all working together in conjunction to make really, really accurate casts and a really, really lightweight blank that's comfortable for anglers to fish. Our head rod designer's desk, Jerry Seam, is a bit of a mess oftentimes, right? And he had a couple.
Most engineers are.
Yeah, and he's truly an artist in what he does. And so yeah, he had a couple prototype parts, and we have cement floors in the factory. Rolled off his desk, and so what I'm holding here is kind of a happy accident, and you can really hear the tuning as we go up in technology here. So Graphite 3E, Generation 5, Kinetic, and Kinetic HD. Right? You can audibly hear the tuning within that material itself, and what that's allowed us to do is really make rods that feel great, that recover really well, and give you all the benefits as a caster.
So you said a million graphite particles per tube or per rod?
Yeah, per rod, right? So it's the same amount. And we're going to do graphite and resin, which is our glue that holds the graphite together, positioning throughout the blank, right? So we can blend the 4 individual sections into one rod that offers up a variety of actions. And so when you walk into the Sage booth, you might see a lot of different colors in the booth. Each one of those is representing a family and an action within that family.
So 1 million, that sounds like a lot, but how does that compare to previous models and maybe other rods out there that anglers can choose from?
Sure. I think back in the mid-'90s, there was something like a modulus war, right? I don't know if you guys remember this, but high modulus, and they had modulus counts written on the blanks. It's not as meaningful anymore because the game has changed. The way we're able to construct this stuff is very different. But for us, that's the most fibers we've ever put into a blank before. So it's a big deal for us to be able to achieve that level of precision. As they're building this stuff, right, to get 1 million fibers all working together is a big deal, right? We have really great partners in the graphite space, and a lot of that's linked to the Pacific Northwest. Mm-hmm. Companies like Boeing are up there, and it's just it's a hub of graphite development. So we're really lucky to have our geography be a big part of our innovation as well.
So 1 million graphite particles, that just means stronger rod.
Stronger rod, lighter rod. So when you're talking about graphite and building a pre-pregger with a resin system, a glue system, the glue is kind of a deadening agent, and it's also heavier than the graphite. So if you can have a resin system that you can get the same results out of but use less of it, that means you can put more of the really good, beneficial part of the rod in there. So we're able to put in more graphite as a result of that, and that's how we achieve that number.
Russ, I wanted to ask you about your newest rod, which is the Sage X.
Correct.
That just debuted at ICAST last year.
Mm-hmm.
Got pretty good reviews, huh?
There's a lot of momentum out in the space right now, which we're really excited about and really thankful that anglers are feeling this technology in action.
Yeah, so it was awarded top new rod of the year, right?
We were super lucky. This is the first time it's ever happened to us. We swept the awards with that. Best saltwater rod, best freshwater rod, and best in show. So we're very honored that people have really enjoyed it. Totally.
Yeah. So what makes it so good? Is it this technology you were just describing?
Yeah, it's a lot of the technology, and then Jerry Seam is our chief rod designer. It's the artisanal touch that he puts on those, right? So Sage is known for a fast action rod, and there's a lot of benefits to having a really fast action rod, right? It's what most anglers can fish really well. It allows you to fish a variety of techniques with one rod, right? So you want to fish dry flies, you can do some nymphing, maybe you want to do some streamer fishing. You can change through all of those different techniques and tactics with one rod.
Yep.
And so what we were able to do with this, because of the material, we could make a different kind of fast action rod that we were able to produce before. We have a little bit stiffer parts, right? That really high density material up in the upper section of the rod, and we wanted to drive load into the lower section, right? Bring the load closer to the angle, making it really intuitive to cast the rod with your timing, right?
Yep.
and also give you really great line feel throughout the entire cast, right? Help with your timing, help with your loop formation, right? And that stiffer part up top, really, that rod's tip stop is really great. It dampens really quickly, and your loops just come right off there in super tight loops. And that's what makes the rod great.
Yeah. So you make it in freshwater, saltwater. What sizes? What's the biggest size you make the X in?
It's our biggest family we do, 3 through 10 weight in the single handers and a variety of length weight combinations. And then we do it in our 2-handers in 6 through 10 weight.
Wow.
Right? So, I mean, there's not a fish out there really that you can't catch on an X rod.
No fish is safe.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's a great casting rod if you take it out on the pond and cast it. But we're really building fishing tools here. And so when you get, waist deep in the river and start really fishing these rods, I think that's when they come alive, right? We're building fishing rods at the end of the day.
Any new product developments, anything coming that you can talk about? We like to know secrets here.
So like I said, we've got a whole R&D lab, right?
Yeah,
so you betcha that they're churning out some new stuff. We're really excited to have this new technology, and with that, right, we're kind of seeing what other parts of the Sage collection that technology might best fit into. And so that's what our R&D team's working on now. They stay really busy. We get to play with a lot of blanks that don't have any markings on them out on the pond at the factory.
Yeah.
Which is always fun.
Yeah.
Some of them never come to be, which kind of makes me sad sometimes because I fall in love with them. And other times it's a whole new rod family that comes out.
Well, that's respectable, though. I mean, because you guys only put the best of the best out on the market.
We always try to lead with our best foot. Yeah.
Well, Russ, I want to be respectful of your time. You're supposed to be manning a booth right now.
We hijacked him.
Totally. It was worth it, though.
Yeah, but we appreciate you spending just a few minutes with us on the podcast and talking Sage fly rods.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and if you guys ever want to find more out, right, sageflyfish.com is a great place to start. If you really want to see kind of and really understand Sage and how we put this all together, we do factory tours every day at 1 p.m. on the island. I would encourage everyone to stop by. It is an eye-opening experience to see the manufacturing process.
That's neat.
Yeah.
Are you guys on social media as well?
Yeah, you find us sageflyfish.com, and we're on Instagram as sageflyfish as well.
And you're in probably most fly shops across the country.
Yeah.
Quite a few.
We like to be with the best specialty retailers in the country.
Awesome.
So, I'd like to thank you guys for stealing me from the booth. It's nice to sit down and chat fly fishing.
Take a break, hide from the crowds.
Likewise, and maybe we can catch up, have you on a future podcast where we've got a little bit more time to really get into Sage and your different rods.
Some of the engineering.
Totally. To me, that's the really interesting part of it here. I mean, there's a lot of great fly rods out on the market these days, right? There's no shortage of that, but there are some really big differentiators at the end of the day that really have that Sage touch and offer a really great experience.
Well, no doubt. I mean, you guys are as big as you are and sell as many rods as you do because of the quality. And if they weren't quality rods, word would spread and you guys wouldn't sell any.
Yeah, we take it pretty serious.
Yeah.
Although it's just fly fishing.
It's kind of serious, though. From what I get the vibe here, it's pretty serious. People take their fly fishing seriously.
Which is good. Yeah. I appreciate that, but never lose sight, it's fly fishing. Yeah, it's a recreational activity.
That's right. At the end of the day, you're just chasing fish.
Totally. And we want to be successful doing that. And that's what we're trying to do is make specialty product, put your best foot forward, and make it easy to be better.
For sure. All right, Russ.
Thank you so much,
guys.
Thanks
so much.
Thanks, bud.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Fellow anglers and outdoorsmen, let me share a quote with you. There is a delight in the hardy life of the open. There are no words that can tell the hidden spirit of the wilderness, that can reveal its mystery, its melancholy, and its charm. The nation behaves well if it treats the natural resources as assets, which it must turn over to the next generation increased and not impaired in value. Conservation means development as much as it does protection. Those wise words are from Theodore Roosevelt. Please remember that our right to fish depends on habitat. Let's be good stewards of our fisheries and fight to protect and preserve our public lands. Thank you for listening to the Gritty Angler Podcast. We appreciate your support and love hearing your feedback. As always, good luck on all of your fishing adventures and stay gritty.